Hello, everyone. I'm Jack Fisher. Welcome to my world, and welcome to a very special edition of Jack Quick Reacts. And it is extra special, too, because the day that so many X-Men fans have been waiting for is finally here. The trailer for X-Men 97 has officially arrived. Now, bear with me, because one, I'm a little overly excited. And again, this is a quick react, so none of this is scripted. None of this is going to be edited. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to sound off. I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to say probably some stupid things that I'm not even going to bother to edit out. But I can't help it, and I'm not going to apologize for it because I am just that excited about this trailer. I've been looking forward to this more than almost any Marvel project in probably since Avengers Endgame. This is one of those things that when it was first announced, I refused to believe it was real. I did not think Marvel would ever revive the most iconic X-Men cartoon of all time, and yet here we are. And even after it was announced, it took so long to get a glimpse of what to expect. And now here we are. Not only do we have a trailer to take in, we even have a release date. And I've already marked my calendar, and I'm sure many X-Men fans have as well. March 20th, 2024 is the date that this show comes out. And I don't know what I'm doing that day, but I'm going to dedicate almost a good chunk of my time to taking in this new show, however many episodes start off. But just take a moment. Take a step back to just appreciate this trailer because it does so many things that tap into our nostalgia for the show. It does so many things to tap into the spirit of the show, and what it delivers is just so good. I wish I had better words than that. I'm usually able to find better words, but they fail me this time. There's just nothing I could do to say how elated I am to watch this. Now, much of what we see is actually somewhat confirms what have already been a lot of stuff we already know. We knew ahead of time that this was going to take place shortly after the events of the series finale of the original 90s show. And that, again, if you haven't seen the finale, you don't need to watch all 76 episodes of the original show. Just watch that final episode. The episode where Charles Xavier is fatally wounded and he has to be taken into space by Lilandra so that he can be treated with Shi'ar technology. But in leaving behind the X-Men, he basically leaves his dream in their hands. And now the X-Men are left to carry on without him. So the show kind of poses the question of what happens to the X-Men when Charles Xavier isn't there to keep the dream alive. And on top of that, what happens when mutants actually have gained some public support? Because remember, the final episode, Henry Gyrick just brutally and publicly attacked Charles Xavier in a way that probably did not go over well from a PR point of view. And now the X-Men they still have to carry on without him, but there's also there's a different mood, there's a different tone throughout their world. But at the same time, there's still those nefarious forces that they've been fighting since the first episode of that series back in 1992. We see clear signs that the Sentinels are back. We see clear signs that there's some new threats brewing. The X-Men, they're not done yet. There's still battles to be fought, and we don't know the extent of those battles, but we do know there are Sentinels. There's still a lot of prejudice surrounding mutants. We don't know if it's the Friends of Humanity or it's just some new mutant hate group to emerge. The Friends of Humanity was a very they were a very recurring threat throughout the original series, and as far as we know, they never went away completely by the end. And it definitely sets the stage for it shows that the spirit of the show is continuing on in this new series. It shows that the struggles of mutants as outcasts, as minorities, as being vulnerable to whether it's Sentinels or just typical human bigotry, it's still there. But without Charles Xavier, the fight is just that much harder. And we don't get to hear much in terms of what the characters say. Only a few characters have any lines in this trailer, but oh man, they make those lines count. We get the famous "To Me, My X-Men" by Cyclops, which I promise you, a lot of X-Men fans were giddy when they heard that. And we did get a brief taste of there is some new voice casting that come out, because in addition to this trailer, some news dropped via Entertainment Weekly about we do have a more clear understanding of who the voice cast is. We already knew that Cal Dodd is returning as Wolverine, and we already knew that Lenore Zahn, the original voice of Rogue, she's back as Rogue. But there's a bunch of other newcomers to the cast, and we even have some of the older cast members. They've been recast, but as new roles, like Catherine Disher, who originally voiced Jean Grey. She now has a different role, and instead Jean Grey is now going to be voiced by Jennifer Hale, aka Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect, and also she voiced Jean Grey and Wolverine in the X-Men. We also have George Buza as Beast. He's back. We have a new voice for Magneto and Matthew Watterson. We have a new voice for Gambit and AJ Lacasio. And there's a bunch of other characters we know are going to be there, like Nightcrawler. We know Nightcrawler's going to be there, but he didn't show up in this. And we know Mr. Sinister is going to be a main factor, but we never saw him. But there's just so much to take in. And there's so much to process that, believe me, even before the trailer was over, my brain started speculating on what we're in for. We know the big. There are a couple major reveals or more somewhat major confirmations that this trailer did. For one, we confirmed that Jean Grey is pregnant. We knew that that was a heavy rumor going back to San Diego Comic-Con last year. Well, now we know she is visibly pregnant in this trailer. And but another thing we already knew that was probably pretty much confirmed was that Magneto was going to be taking over the Xavier Institute. The big reveal at the end is he's back. He apparently has Xavier's last will and testament, which does kind of follow because as far back as 80s during the Chris Claremont run, Magneto has taken over for Charles Xavier before. He has led the X-Men in a new way, which leads me to believe that there's going to be some serious tension here about because at the end of this trailer, the X-Men they don't look too happy that Magneto is there, and very well take over. He might try to fill Xavier's shoes, and even though Magneto kind of softened his outlook a bit towards the end of the original series, he's still Magneto, and you could tell at the end that none of the X-Men trust him. But so, what's that going to be? Are some going to maybe side with Magneto, think, okay, maybe he actually is going to guide the X-Men into a better direction, or are some of the X-Men going to oppose? Are they going to break off? I mean, we can tell from the trailer, Cyclops he's the one leading the charge in battle. Storm is a close second. So what's this going to mean for them? Are they going to start clashing over who should lead? Are the X-Men going to be divided by this new dynamic? And there was the shot of what looked like to be Magneto in front of the UN, and we don't know for sure if he's making some kind of statement like he did in the Asteroid M arc, or if he's essentially preparing to declare war on humanity again, which he does a lot both in the comics and in the old cartoon. So there's definitely going to be some interest, some tension as to what happens with Magneto and how he ends up. He could either save Charles Xavier's dream, or he could absolutely destroy it. It really could go either way with him, and we don't know, but I'm excited to find out. And a few other things we learned in the trailer: Morph is actually going to take on his more classic form. If you remember from the original series, Morph, he did have a human look, but in the comics and historically, he's always had a base form with kind of like it's very it's kind of, he's got the white face and he's kind of like like his own little template. And it's also was confirmed that actually Morph is going to be sort of non-binary, which it fits the it definitely fits the X-Men in terms of they do represent a little of everyone, everyone who's different, who's unique, who's just out of place. And the current climate, I think that fits perfectly. I know it's going to piss off certain crowds, but if they're probably not the kind of people who watch X-Men or appreciate its message anyway, so who cares about them? But it's setting up a lot. And some other things that the trailer did lead me to contemplate is a lot of people are already speculating, about Jean Grey being pregnant, and because we know Sinister was going to be the main villain, and whenever Sinister is present, he usually has some plot against Cyclops and Jean, and that was very true in the original cartoon when he never did finish his plan. So so we don't know. There was a few action figures and Funko releases that said that had Madeline Pryor showing up along with a with an infant child. So there's a chance that we might get the whole idea that that he clones Jean at some point, and we get a new version of Madeline Pryor. We don't know. It probably won't manifest the same way it did in the comics, just because X-Men, the X-Men animated series, had always sort of deviated somewhat from the way the comics played out. I mean, the most notable one in the Phoenix Saga was Jean Grey didn't die at the end of the Phoenix Saga in the show; she survived. So, and we also know the same thing happened in Days of Future Past, because there was no Kitty Pryde in this show, so they had to send someone else back. In this case, it was Bishop, and now it looks like Bishop is a part of the main team. So maybe there's based on some of the moments in the trailer, maybe they see part of the apocalyptic future he came from. So it's very likely there's going to be time travel shenanigans. We also know from the Entertainment Weekly article that Cable is going to have a major story, and that same article confirmed, Cyclops is Cable's father. Whether or not he's the son of Madeline Pryor like he is in the comics, we don't know yet. And I'm still I can't wait to find out and see how this show tackles that convoluted mess. But there is just so much to take in. There's so much to look forward to. Just seeing the team in action again, seeing Wolverine running into battle with Gambit charging his claws, and seeing Rogue give us that sassy smile again that I promise you a lot of 90s kids are very fond of that smile. And there's a whole lot more to speculate on. I certainly have my theories, but I'm not going to try to articulate them when I'm in this overly excited state right now. But yeah, I've already marked my calendar, March 20th, 2024. And I'm sure once this show begins, there's going to be a whole lot of reactions, and I'm certainly going to do my share. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know what form it'll take, whether it be just a quick reaction or a full-blown video essay, or just me trying to just process everything this show does, because this has been a long time coming. For the long time, the X-Men have basically been deleted from Marvel movies, Marvel games, and Marvel animation, but they're officially back now. Between this show and we saw Deadpool's coming into the MCU. It is definitely a promising time for X-Men fans. So I couldn't be more excited. I'm so glad I got a chance to take in this trailer. I'm sure I'll have more to talk about for now, but this is just my quick reaction. I'm certainly going to entertain some speculation, some fan theories. I'm sure everybody, from what I've seen online, everybody's already making a lot of wild assumptions, and they're getting into all sorts of debates about where this could lead, what this could mean for the X-Men eventually arriving in the MCU. It's really is exciting, and I really can't wait to see where it all leads. So I'll stop it here. I'll wrap it up here for now, just so we can all have some time to process all this. But yeah, definitely expect to hear more from me in terms of how this story unfolds and how X-Men 97 unfolds over this first season. So yeah, thanks you all very much. Thank you very much for joining me in my world, and thank you for joining me in this very special edition of Jack Quick Reacts. So yeah, March 20th, 2024. I'm ready. I know a lot of other X-Men fans are ready. Until then, until next time, everyone, take care and stay safe.